So this is an introduction to the victim, persecutor, rescuer dynamics and those roles. These roles are everywhere in our society, and they operate at an individual level and they operate on a collective level. So you see individuals falling into these roles in their relationships with each other, but you also see groups of people strangely doing these roles with other groups of people. So you get a group of persecutors and another group who are being victimized. And we also do the victim, persecutor, rescuer stuff inside of ourselves. So those are three different levels. There's the interpersonal level, there's the group level, and then there's the internal level. And these dynamics are literally absolutely everywhere. I mean, everywhere I look around me, now that I'm aware of them, I can see this stuff going on in different ways to different degrees. And what's not okay about them is they're all pathologies. They're all inauthentic ways of acting and behaving and relating to other people. And they're all games. And a game is, by definition, an ongoing series of complementary ulterior transactions which progress to a well-defined and predictable outcome. So in other words, they're fake behavior. I mean, if you're involved in a game, then it might look superficially plausible, but there's a concealed motive. So there's a way in which every game is basically dishonest. And what's interesting about these games is they're nearly always defense mechanisms of some kind. And we learned them when we were younger, and people do them fairly unconsciously. So it's not like people are deliberately being dishonest. It's simply this is how they learned how to relate to other people. So this is what they do, and they think this is fine. In the long run, though, everybody feels unsatisfied and unhappy because what gives real happiness and what works is being intimate and making emotional contact. And games get in the way of and block and prevent emotional contact. And what human beings need is intimacy and emotional contact. And these games are substitutes for that real connection. So in the long run, these games are dysfunctional and they cause a great deal of unhappiness. And then people don't understand why they're unhappy and why they feel unsatisfied in their relationships. Unfortunately, most people blame the other person instead of looking at themselves and looking at what they're doing and looking at their ulterior motives and being really blunt and honest and direct about what they're doing in the relationship. It's much easier just like, well, I'm in the wrong relationship with the wrong person, so obviously it's not going to work. When the reality is often that that's not what's going on. You might be in a really, really good relationship, but if two people are in a good relationship, but they're both being dishonest and they're playing lots of games, it'll destroy the relationship. Even if it's potentially an amazing relationship, you might have met your soulmate and you're blowing it because you're stuck in all these pathological games. So that's why they're so important. And they never work. And the other thing about them is they get you stuck in patterns that never change. So you never evolve or grow or move on. The pattern is stuck and fixed. And so if you've been in a relationship, any kind of relationship, business, personal, friends, whatever, and you notice the same patterns going on repeatedly over and over and over again, and you feel frustrated and unsatisfied, it's probably one of these games that you're stuck in, but you don't realize it, which is why they're so important. So I'm going to be identifying the details of the pathologies of these games and looking at what they are and how they were learned. And then I'm going to be looking at how we break these patterns and create healthy responses and healthy behavior patterns to replace them.